everybody, and welcome to the Local Lens. I'm Greer Howard.
I'm Beth Keener.
And today we are actually here at Kennesaw State University. We have a bunch of students that are helping us out with our production today. And we have the pleasure of talking with Jan Smith. And Jan Smith, legendary. All right, I tell you what, this woman has worked with countless stars in the music industry.
Countless, billions.
Countless. She is an artist herself. She is a voice coach, a producer, an author, a speaker. She is Mama Jan.
This is Mama Jan.
That's that.
Welcome, Jan. Thanks
Thank
for
you very
coming
much.
on to the Local Lens today.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
So we know that you started out as a singer-songwriter.
I did.
So how did you discover your knack for teaching?
I didn't really discover my knack for teaching. To be honest with you,
Okay.
I was buying a piece of gear at a music store, and a guy that was running a rock and roll guitar school had heard about me as a singer around town and asked me if I thought I could help one of his clients at the guitar school. And I said, yeah, I think I could. The guy was losing his voice. He was a construction worker and playing in a pretty popular rock and roll band. So I took a stab at that, making about $65 a month, seeing the guy 4 times a month, and made a difference enough to where he was keeping his voice, which was more important to him than his construction job. And after that, it just kind of snowballed into being what you might consider a calling.
Yeah.
But I think really it was about having the vernacular to be able to speak into the lives of rock and roll and R&B singers and street singers, because nobody was doing that at the time. I just got to be the first girl on the block.
Well, what we find most interesting is you have worked with some pretty killer superstars, right? And let's just name a few. Drake, Sierra,
Justin Bieber,
Biebs,
Usher.
Usher. I mean, so many. Now, has there been a specific moment that you can remember where one of these artists or another artist has just had a major breakthrough? And what was that like?
I think they all have breakthroughs. And part of that is they're people just like you and me. They put their pants on the same way, you know, one leg at a time. So I think that they encounter the same issues in their lives and their careers, and then you compound that with all of the demands that are placed on them. And the other thing is what people need from them, and it's really tough to balance that out. So sometimes just being that voice of reason for them makes a big difference for how much better they can be at what they're doing when they're under the gun for that. But you know, moments like standing backstage with Rob Thomas before he walked out on the stage with Carlos Santana at the Grammys to get his first, you know, nomination, his first award, and they closed the show because of Smooth, and things like that. When you work with people, you're a part of that. You're a part of that success. So for me, it's just really sharing that moment with my clients and the people that are my friends.
And part of being successful as an artist is you have to be successful in the recording studio and then also live, you know, performing live. And there has to be a really big difference in preparing for that. So when you go in to record, how is that different than when you're preparing for a live show?
I think the major difference is when you're recording, you can do it again. When you're live, it's right there. It's do it or die. So recording, and what recording has gotten to be nowadays, we have the opportunity to really correct a lot of things. And that's how people are used to hearing their music now. It's perfected. So we have that opportunity of really digging in deep and getting the best of the best pieces that somebody might sing live. When you're live, you have to be able to deliver that. And so for me, instead of encouraging singers to be lazy using autotune, and we use it in the studio, I use it too, on the records that I make, but it's about having that as a roadmap so that when they're singing live, they're just as good, if not better than the record. That's what my goal would be.
Now, faith has been a huge part of your life and a huge part of your story. So can you tell us a little bit about how that has changed you or helped you develop as a woman and as a professional?
Wow, that's a big question. We could be here all day talking about that. I mean, I'm grateful for my mom and dad who, you know, I grew up in Southern Baptist churches because I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. So I don't know if that's particularly, you know, Southern to say that, but faith was always the cornerstone in our household. And I've certainly taken some hard left turns in my life, but having a sense that there's something bigger than me, and knowing that faith can and has carried me through some of the hardest times in my life, as I've gotten older, it becomes more and more important for me to be able to lean into that. And I also see God's work in my life and in the work that I do with other people. So it's become an undeniable factor in who I am to really lean in hard on that. And the more I lean, the more comfortable I am in letting go otherwise and just following that path and trusting. So I see so many people who don't have a faith or who are confused or don't believe in anything past themselves. And I think it makes a difference. I just think being able to hold on to something greater than you and putting that out to other people is it's kind of an undeniable force in my life for sure.
And you mentioned your parents and how important they are to you, and you actually wear your father's ring for sentimental purposes. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
I can. My dad died in June of 2010. I was supposed to be in a week's worth of rehearsals for the Justin Bieber tour, and that was at Phillips Arena. And I was in the hospital with my dad dying. He had a brainstem stroke. And it was very sudden. My father was a very healthy man. He was on the golf course 2 days before he had that stroke and shot an 88 at the age of 82. So, but I took the late night shift with Daddy. My brothers and my mom were there in the morning, and I would come in the afternoon and stay throughout the night. And so I happened to be the person that was there with Daddy when he died. I had my right hand on his heart when it beat for the last time. And my father didn't want to be buried with any jewelry on. And so they had to cut his ring off, and my mom asked my brothers, they're older than me, if they wanted it, and neither one of them would take it. And I asked Mother if I could have it, and so I had it sized to fit my hand, and my dad is my right hand man.
Can we see it?
That's my daddy's wedding band.
Wow.
My mom and dad were married for 62 years.
Oh,
And look at this
wow.
couple right here. Look at them.
love
They're
that.
so happy. I love that picture.
Yeah.
You can just see their joy is infectious.
They're actually so happy. It almost looks like that's the picture that came in the frame.
Well, you know, and that's the weird thing about that, because that picture was taken the summer before Daddy, the year before, and I had that photo shoot done at their home because my mother had an accident, and we thought that something could happen to her, and so I had that photo shoot done, and we captured them on film, so we could kind of have the narrative of their life and their love story. And unbeknownst to us, my father died the next year, so we had that. Yeah.
Well, Jan, we appreciate so much you being here with us today,
Thank you.
and you have a treat for us. We have a treat for you, Jan. You're actually going to perform for us today. So, what are you going to be performing?
I have no idea. I'll know when I do it. How's that?
I love it. It's just going to come to you.
It will.
Okay. Well,
Ooh, we are all in for a treat. So you guys stay right where you are. We're going to get Miss Jan Smith set up and see what she has for us today.
So since we're talking about faith today, and my faith in particular, I thought that it would be great to bring back an old gospel tune. So it's my honor and privilege to do this one for you today.
A sinner condemned,
say it was marvelous and wonderful.
Wonderful. Yes,
okay.
it was.
Aren't you smart?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, we want to thank you so much. It's been
My
lovely
pleasure.
spending time with you
My
today. And for everyone watching, we thank you for watching Behind the Lens. And we want to give a special thanks to the Joel Acast Music and Entertainment Business Program, who has produced this entire episode for us.
We love Jolie.
Thank
yes,
you.
we do.
All right, well, thank you for watching. You can check Jan out at jansmith.com. And I'm Beth Keener.
And I'm Greer Howard. Stay locked on What's Lensing.